you do not attend the open house with your buyer, you will now owe me a 25% referral fee.
Basically, real estate's a popularity contest, I always say.
Of course.
You know, the more people that you know, the more people that like you, the more people that know what you're doing, ultimately the more business you're going to get.
People are afraid of rejection. I don't look at things as rejection. I look at it as selection.
This week's episode, we have Frankie Failla, great friend of mine, very funny guy, great heart, whose career is literally exploding. He's been in the business for 15 years. Before that, he was a police officer for 20. What is he doing? How is his business growing? How is he closing 2 to 3 deals a month, working 20 hours a week? Well, listen and find out. All right, so you ready to get into it?
I'm ready.
All right, so a little bit of background for the people who know. Where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Astoria, Queens, but I moved to Merrick, Long Island in 1970, September of 1970. So I grew up in Merrick. I lived there for about 54 years.
What is like, so I'm just curious because I came out there probably early 80s, 1981. What did it look like then? Was it like farm-esque? Was it?
There were areas that were still farm. Gilweiler's farm, which was along Jerusalem Avenue, was still there. There were some still open fields, but for the most part, it was starting to build up.
So Astoria to Merrick, been out here your entire life, retired police officer.
Right.
Right. What made you go into the academy, and how old were you when you did?
I was 24 when I went into the academy. I always remember as a little kid, I was going to say I was going to be a cop. So I guess that came to be.
That's interesting.
But I went to New York City EMS first.
Okay.
And I really loved that job, and I had a great time. And I said, let me go on to see how the police department is.
What made you want to be a police officer?
Well, working with EMS, helping people, and really making a difference.
Okay. So it's at that point, like in your teens, that you were like, okay, or was it from childhood?
No. It was the usual, 7, 8 years old. I'm going to be a police officer because it's the thing to be. And then at one point, I forgot all about this, but when I was in college, I said I was going to become a real estate agent. And because. But it wasn't going to be like just an agent. It was going to be like an investor developer. But that kind of just went by the wayside. I had joined the volunteer fire department, and that's where I got into the EMS part of it.
Okay.
And I loved it. I just absolutely loved being an EMT. And then I went to the police department, and I forgot all about being a real estate agent. I remember one day I'm walking up a flight of stairs in the basement showing a house, and I stopped dead. And I'm like, holy crap. I remember saying when I was 8 years old, I was going to be a cop. And then at like 17, 18 years old, whatever, I was in college, and Nassau Community College for about 12 minutes. And I remember saying I was going to be and it dawned on me that, holy crap, I said it, and it came to be all those years later.
What, it just hit you literally while you were walking up the stairs?
Yeah.
Just bang?
Like I forgot that I had ever said I was going to be a real estate agent. I was like, holy crap, we do manifest things.
How long you been in the business for?
Real estate, 15 years.
You miss being a police officer?
Yes, I do.
You there 20 years, retired 20 years?
Yeah, I did 20 in a day. Did over 20 years.
Was that the plan all along, or?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I really loved it. I enjoyed it. It's, what do they say? It's not the circus, it's the clowns that I miss. The fun and stuff. The job itself and working in the city, especially under and I'm not a political person, under this new administration would be brutal.
Yeah. So you worked in the boroughs? Or you were in Manhattan?
I ended in Manhattan.
Okay.
I ended working my last 2.5 years in Times Square, and then prior to that, I did 2.5 years in Chinatown, and then my first 15 years was in the 7-7 precinct in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, Crown Heights section.
So it was all action all the time, basically.
All action all the time, yeah.
Was that what you liked about the job?
I did, yeah. I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie, so I need.
Which is interesting because you're a very calm guy.
I've learned to be. I've learned to be. I used to be very short-tempered, not in a bad way, but just everything was. So I always liked that adrenaline rush.
So, what was your favorite thing about being a police officer?
I think it was the adrenaline rush.
Just the action of it.
Yeah, and you never knew what you were going to get. Even though your days became routine, it was never routine. You can get 2 calls for the same thing, and it's not the same thing.
So what made you ultimately get into real estate? Was your plan hey, I'm going to be a police officer, do 20 years, and then I'm getting into real estate? Or did you retire and then you decided at that point to be an agent?
So just before I retired, I was getting ready to retire. My buddy Patrick, you've met him. He's a real estate attorney.
Yep.
He had said to me, Frank, he says, why don't you consider getting your real estate license when you retire? Because I didn't know what I was going to do. You know, in my mind, I was going to go fishing and golfing. But that didn't work out because as soon as I retired, my wife went back to work. At the time, my wife at the time went back to work, and
you golf?
I haven't in years.
Okay.
But I do. So he had suggested a good way to supplement my pension, and of course get out of the house and be around people.
Okay. So that's it. You took the test and you were out.
I took the test, and November 1st of 2011, because I retired in April of 2011, and I got my license in November 1st. I was licensed.
So you're 15 years in.
Yeah.
To your second career.
Yes.
Do you feel that being a police officer prepared you for real estate? I mean, there's not quite as much action, I can imagine.
No, there's not. I always found it's funny, though. People would spill their life story to me as a real estate agent, but I couldn't get 2 words out of them as a cop, but that makes sense. Did it prepare me? I think there's part of it that helps. One is communicating with people, listening, understanding what their need is, and of course when problems arise, there's nothing really confrontational about real estate, so it's not like I have to worry about anything violent, but I think it helps me, protect and serve, and that's what I like to do with my clients: protect and serve.
Yeah, the one of the things that always stood out to me about you when I was doing business with you is just how well you hold your composure in situations. Like I've seen a lot of agents or a lot of people in general, like as soon as the stress is on, they lose it, right? They start yelling, like they don't like the stress, like all of a sudden everything starts unraveling. You are always, composed regardless of the scenario.
That
you're not
definitely,
easily rattled. Like I see it in your face, you're just you're just good. Okay, this is what we got.
Generally not easily rattled, and that came from EMS as well as the police department, because you have to maintain your composure.
So how has the real estate industry, if at all, changed in the last 15 years? Because 15 years it goes fast, but 15 years is a decent amount of time.
Well, I mean, outside of the NAR lawsuit and all of that stuff, it's changed because technology has changed. Now, I didn't necessarily get along with the technology because I'm not always open to. I don't mind change, but change for the sake of change doesn't make sense to me. But no, we have technology now. We have AI advancements to help out. People are making videos, podcasts to get the message out. Although it happened before I was a realtor, the old timers when I was a young realtor, or a new realtor, I should say, used to tell me that they would have to get, I forget what they called them, but they would get a bundle of papers. I forget what they were called.
It was like
as the listings that were coming out, and
they didn't have MLS. They would basically get delivered to the offices in the morning, and whoever got to them fastest.
And I guess the broker would get them, and he may or may not have delivered them to his favorite agents, which
happens.
Yes.
So, I mean, do you think technology, like how have you adapted over the last 15 years? Because, I mean, your business is growing. How have you adapted over the years to kind of, meet that change and accelerate?
Well, honestly, I've been with you now, I guess, about 6 or 7 months, maybe give or take. I didn't really change until I came here because you've addressed the change with us. Like, hey, this is what's happening in the market, and you presented it in a way that it wasn't so intimidating. Up until then, I didn't embrace the change. I just did my own thing. I never used a CRM. I'm not sure. I did with my last brokerage. I did a little bit, but
now tech is your life.
Well, I'm not gonna say it's my life, but it's become a big part. Yes.
Anybody who knows you, comedy, acting, very big part of your life. That's your passion.
Yes,
I would say. When did you get into that? Was that something you always had a love for, but never went into because you're working your full-time job as a police officer? Is it something that just kind of hit you in retirement? What drew you to that?
Okay, so the acting, I did a little bit of acting in the 90s while I was still in the police department, but it was background work, which was fine. That's a good way to get started in acting. But I stopped because it would take up like 12, 15 hours, and I'd be having to call in and take the day off. And so I said, I'll wait till I retire. And again, something I put on the back burner. The comedy, I grew up, no one believes this, but I grew up, I was highly introverted and...
Which I don't believe at all.
No one believes that, but I was deathly afraid to talk to people and highly introverted. And I fought my way out of it. A good buddy of mine, Brian, he's passed, but he helped get me out of my shell. And then I realized when I went to EMS was I have to talk to people. Otherwise, I'll never know. So I started to come out of my shell. And then at 15 years old, my son was 15, and I noticed he was a little shy. And I said, I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to have him deal with what I went through of being shy. So we took a stand-up comedy class.
Why do you think you were, reserved? Was it just you just feel like you were hardwired that way? And then what did you do to break out of it? You kind of like quickly breezed over that, but I feel that that's something that people would like to hear.
Yeah, I don't know why I was so introverted. I don't. I just, I was in a family of 5, 5 kids. So there was no reason for me to be amongst my family. But when I was out amongst people, I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why. And then, like I said, I worked on it through EMS and going out. Like I said, my buddy Brian we'd go out, Wednesday nights to Mulcahy's for ladies' night.
Yeah.
And other clubs and bars. So he kind of forced me to go out and be around people. Didn't force me to talk to them, but he forced me to be around them. And forced is not the right word, but...
Was it, because, there's a lot of people that are in that situation, especially like agents. So I work with agents and, basically real estate's a popularity contest, I always say.
Of course.
The more people that you know, the more people that like you, the more people that know what you're doing, ultimately the more business you're going to get. And then there's a certain segment of the population of agents that just have a real problem putting themselves out there and socializing. So any tips you have, because you're a super social person, like a lot of your business comes from by way of networking.
Yes.
You do a lot of networking around the police department, you have a great social circle, and now the business is just literally just flowing, right? You had your biggest month of your entire career in June.
Yes.
Congratulations. And the business just keeps flowing to the tune of like 2 or 3 deals a month, which is amazing.
Yeah.
What do you say to the agent who's out there who's like, I want to be in the business, I want to do more business, but I have a hard time socializing. I have a hard time putting myself out there. Like, what are some things that they can do to kind of break through that?
I would suggest if they want to go out to a networking event, go with somebody. It doesn't have to be another agent. If it can be another agent, that's fine. But bring a friend, someone that obviously is a little bit more open and willing to talk, because it makes it, when you're walking into a room, and I still have moments where if I go into a room where I don't know anybody, I still become a little quiet. So I think they call that being an ambivert, both introverted and extroverted. And I have signs of introversion at times. So I would suggest that they go with somebody and start off with something where they know people. Maybe their high school reunion, where you're going to see people. Also, it's not just networking because it's about real estate. It's about, nobody cares that you're a real estate agent until they need a real estate agent.
Yeah.
So just go there and introduce yourself and just get to know people.
Yeah, no, I guess you just kind of have to do it, right? You just have to put yourself in that environment where you're having conversations with people.
People are afraid of rejection, and I get it. I don't look at things as rejection anymore. I look at it as selection. Like, if you and I are going for the same listing and they chose you to list the house and not me, they didn't reject me. They selected you. And that's how I look at things.
No, it's a good way to look at it.
Even with the acting, when I submit my self-tapes and my auditions, if I looked at it as rejection, I would be, I'd be depressed or however you want to look at it, because it's just they selected somebody else for whatever reason, taller, shorter, whatever. So if you look at things that people look at as rejection, think of it as selection, and you'll feel better about it.
No, it makes sense, because at the end of the day, like, they're not rejecting you because they don't even know you.
Correct.
Right? To get quote unquote rejected, if you want to call it that, somebody has to really know you for an extended period of time.
Well, not only that, but to be rejected means you never had a chance.
Okay.
So if somebody was truly rejecting me as an actor, a person, a realtor, they were never going to call me in to begin with. Now, obviously, you can't call in every realtor when you're selling a house, but in order to be rejected, you could never have been given a chance. That's rejection. Selection is, hey, we called you in. We liked what Charles had to say better than what you had to say, for whatever reason.
No, it makes sense. It's a good attitude, and then you're like, okay, you know what? It is what it is. On to the
And you know what?
next one.
It's funny because I'm in the dating world now, and that's how I look at it with dating. When you ask somebody out and they say no, they're not rejecting me.
I always liked dating.
I don't mind it. I listen to people. They complain. Oh, the dating apps and the men are terrible. Women are terrible. It's like, just go out and have a good time.
Well, that's really like, for me, people were always like, I hate dating. I just want to meet someone. I'm like, I really like dating. Listen, I'm happy. I love Amanda. I love my new son and all that. But like when I was dating, it's like, if you like people, like if you genuinely just like people, to your point before, like don't be attached to the outcome.
I always say that.
Attached
People
to the
are
outcome.
always married to the outcome.
Be in the moment, be attached to the process, enjoy it for what it is. You go out, you meet somebody, you have a drink, you go rock climbing, you do whatever the hell you do, you're having a good time. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But at the end of the day, like you're just enjoying the experience and enjoying the person.
And that's it. For however long it lasts. One date or forever.
You saw that your son was a little bit introverted. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to let him go through what I went through.
Correct.
We're taking this class. Was he willing, or did
Oh,
you
yeah.
have- Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he was willing.
Good for him. Because that's a big deal. That's like 90% of the battle.
Yeah, no, he was willing because we were doing it together.
Mm-hmm.
And he did perform stand-up for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
But he was in high school, and then he went off to college, so he didn't really have time to keep up with it. I kept going with it. And now my daughter got involved on her own. She wasn't shy. She's outgoing as well, but she decided she wanted to take the comedy class, so she took it as well.
Nice. So do you feel that it had a positive impact on him?
I do. I mean, I am not with him all the time, so when he was growing up, he may have worked out of that himself, but I think the fact that he had to go stand up in front of a room full of people on the last day of class, that's what you do. It's your graduation class, and you tell your jokes. And he had to stand there, and it was we had to have probably 60 of our friends there. Friends and family were there. And so you're in front of everybody that you know, and you're really vulnerable. And even I felt it. It was because it was the first time that I performed as well. And as soon as you get that first laugh, it's like a rush of a cool breeze or water just flushing over you when you're like really hot, and you're like, oh my God, and it just brings everything down, and you relax because now you're like, okay, they like me. They're hearing my jokes.
What was the class experience like? Is it like an 8-week class, a 4-week class?
They've refined it a little bit since I last took it, but it's an 8-week class.
Okay.
So I believe it's an 8-week class. So your 7th week is your comedy show, and then the 8th week they review. They tape you, and then they review your tape, and they show you where you could do things a little differently.
Okay.
And a little pizza party, and everybody moves on. And my son and I actually took it again.
Okay.
So there's no limit to how many times you can take it. So we took it twice.
So what's the process of developing as a comedian?
So everybody develops differently. How we developed, and I say we, is me and my son because it was similar. The class that we took is called Stand Up University, and they do what's called monologue comedy. Monologue comedy, if you ever watched like Jay Leno or any of the late night shows, they'll do a quick one-liner kind of thing. They'll talk about something in the news and make a joke about it. Then they're on to the next thing. So it's topic, premise, punch is what they call it. And they're quick jokes. So as you develop, then you start to turn them into long-form comedy where it becomes maybe a story. So when you hear my comedy, it becomes almost like a day in the life of Frank Failla, and you start to add to it. So maybe you'll put 2 jokes together along the same lines. So now it becomes a story. One of the best at it was Bill Crosby.
Okay.
He was the best at it. He would tell these long stories, and they all connected together, but there was joke. And And that's the difference. Like people say, "Oh, I'm funny," and they'll tell you a story, but it's not a story you can go up on stage and tell because one, the audience doesn't know you. So if I know you and you tell me this story about something that say happened here in the audience in the office, I'll laugh because I work here and I understand who the people are.
Yeah.
So you can't do that. You can't just get up on stage and tell a story. Your story has to have jokes along the way to keep and then you get to your big punchline and ties the whole joke together or the whole story together.
I mean, being a comedian, it's just like as vulnerable as you can get. You're standing there literally on a stage, people fixated you. I mean, what's the biggest crowd you ever performed in front of? 100 people?
Yeah, about 100, maybe 125.
Yeah, 100, 125 people just staring at you. You
Right.
have 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever it is. Was there ever a moment where you almost quit because you were like, this is just, can I do this? Is this too much?
I almost quit because of not the process. It's the process of trying to get booked on shows. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of networking.
From the comedy side or the acting side?
From the comedy side.
Okay.
I mean, everything involves networking. Real estate, acting, comedy. You have to network with people. But it's very difficult to get booked on shows because there's a lot of comedians. And it's hard to get your name out there if you don't put yourself out there by going to open mics and meeting other comedians. Because not everybody books shows. It's a lot of work to book a show. I used to book my own shows, and it was just a lot of work, and it wasn't worth the effort.
Okay.
I would rather be on somebody else's show, and I'm happy to do it for free, and most of the time I do it for free. I would just rather be on somebody else's show. It's a lot of work. But if you don't put yourself out there and network with other comedians, you're not going to get booked.
So ultimately, what kept you in the game? Like, what kept you doing comedy?
You ever watched the movie, I think it was called Tin Cup? It's a golf movie.
Yeah.
Remember, there's something in there where he says, you hit that one shot and brings you back the next day. Well, you have a show and you do great and it brings you back. You walk off that stage, that adrenaline rush, that high, that's, when I come off the stage and I know I've had a good set and it was solid and I come off, I'm like, I got to do this again. And it's just, like I said, trying to write new jokes and there was a comedian on Long Island, I can't remember his name. He used to say, I don't need new jokes, I just need a new audience, which is true, because I could tell the same joke.
Yeah.
But it's in order to have a following, you got to kind of write new jokes, because how many times, Charles, do you want to come out and hear me tell you the same 10-minute jokes? You might once, twice, you say, okay, and then you say, all right, well, we're here to see the other comedians too. But after a while, you're going to be like, all right, Frank, you got to freshen your act up a little bit. So.
Do you have we were talking about it before, but do you have a process of coming up with new material? Do you feel like you can only use it for a certain amount of time and then you have to come up with new stuff? Do you ever get writer's block? What is that experience like?
Okay, so the core 5-minute jokes that I have from my original 5-minute set, there were core jokes about my marriage, and then I changed them over to my divorce, and they're getting tired now. So it's time for me to write new material. If I'm going to keep getting out on stage, for the sporadic way that I get on stage now, I really don't have to do that. I can change the jokes I have, which I have now. I change them up a little bit, but if I really want to get out there, I have to write new jokes. So to answer your question, a lot of jokes come to me through conversation, or I'll just be thinking, or I'll hear somebody say something. I'm like, oh, that would make a good joke. And then what happens is I ultimately write it. I don't write it down and I forget it. Well, you always think, oh, I'll remember it, and I'll be like, man, that was such a good joke, topic, premise, and I can't remember it. And so you're supposed to write them all down and then try to write about them. So there are friends of mine that are comedians. They'll go to the library and they'll write for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I don't do that. It just, things come to me.
So are you not doing as much comedy because you transitioned more into acting, and that's really where your passion lies now?
So yeah, so my acting is really where I'd like to be. I did the stand-up comedy, and then a year later, I'm like, I can do comedy. I can do some acting. And so I remember my first audition. It was before Zoom. It was FaceTime, and I applied for this role, and the guy says, all right, I'll call you on a Thursday. He said, I'm going to call you Thursday night at 6:00. And And I go down to my basement because I had the kids and the dog, and I needed to be quiet. And I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at my watch, and I realized I forgot to give him my phone number. So fortunately, I sent him an email.
Is that ever a joke in your routine?
No, it's not. So I forgot to give him my phone number. So I sent him a message, and he goes, "I'm auditioning somebody now." And I thought he was going to tell me you're done. You missed your opportunity. He says, "I have a slot tomorrow, same time, 6:00."
Okay.
And then, so I wasn't expecting anything out of it, just other than the experience of my first audition. And I'm auditioning for him, and he stops me in the middle of it. And I said, "All right, I didn't do it." And what happened was I tried to memorize the lines in like less than 24 hours. And although ironically now I can memorize my lines right away, but that night, that time I couldn't. And I'm doing the audition, and he cuts me off. It was for a movie called Innate.
Okay.
It was. I wish he would have made it into a feature film, but it was a little short, independent short film.
Mm-hmm.
And he cuts me off, so I figure, all right, he's going to thank me for audition. He goes, look, he says, and he started. And that's exactly how he says. He says, I'm just going to stop you now. He says, I see that you're trying, and I really like what I see. He says, you got the part.
Wow.
Yeah.
First audition out the gate.
It was the lead. Not there was no pay for this. This was just.
But just like proof of concept.
But I was just like, wow. And I got the part, and it was the lead, and I was shocked.
So what was that experience like?
Oh, it was great. It was great. Learning to you learn how the set works. Again, we actually even used my house as one of the sets. My neighborhood. But it was great because I really learned how the movie making process works. And one of the things I learned how important it is continuity. Like if you ever watch a TV show and even a movie, you'll see like. Say there's a cup here, and then they'll cut to another scene, and it's still us talking, and the cup is gone. And then you'll come back to another scene, the cup is back there. It's just they change the angles, or someone moved the cup and they forgot to put it back. So I'm always try to be aware of continuity. So just little things like that.
What do you like most about acting?
What I like most about acting is that I get to be something different every time. Yes, I played. I played a cop. I played a parole officer. So it's not that I'm being anything different, but I played a juror. My first TV show was Bull. I played a juror, and these are all speaking parts, principal parts.
Yeah. Now people don't know. I feel like I had looked you up when we first started talking about it, and I didn't realize how many gigs you've actually had at this point.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it's relevant. Like, how much effort has gone into that? How much rejection has gone into that? Like, how much, we've had conversations, and this is why real estate is one of the greatest industries in the world, because it can be whatever you want it to be, right? It can give you the ability to make a great living and then pursue your passions. So, I mean, either you and I will have a conversation about it, or I'll hear through people in the office, like, Frank has 2 auditions this week, 3 auditions, 4 auditions, whatever. Like, you are aggressively going after this every single week.
Yeah. I attend acting classes. I attend workshops with casting directors. And the reason why you want to work with casting directors and go to their workshops is it's not like, oh, I'm going to take your class and now you're going to hire me. That's if you're going into a workshop looking for that, it's not happening. You go in and you start to learn what each different casting director is looking for, and they also get to know you. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like you as the broker here. You know a lot of agents out there, and you might remember, hey, this person, I want to work with this person. So maybe you call them in to work here. And that's the same thing with casting directors. They'll see you perform a scene. They'll give you adjustments. They'll teach the class, and then when you submit for an audition, he or she may remember you and say, you know what, I remember Frank. He was good. He'll be good for this part. That's the other thing is you have to be right for the part. Mm-hmm. Just like you have to be right for the brokerage and you have to be right for real estate.
Yeah, I guess like anything in life. So what's the dream? Like you're still a young guy. You have a lot of life ahead of you.
Thank you.
Right? You have a lot going on. You have real estate going on. You have comedy. You have the acting that you're really pursuing. What does the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years look like? What's the dream for you?
Well, the dream would be to get 40 or 50 more years, but No, my dream for acting would to become a full-time working actor. The ultimate dream would to have my own show, be it a sitcom or some other kind of comedy or procedural. But yeah, to be a full-time working actor.
Do you write as well, or?
Right, for acting?
Yep.
I started working on a screenplay, and I stopped, and I wish I didn't, because now everything that I wanted to write, I didn't make any notes, because I was writing it, not unlike my comedy, I was writing it as it was happening in my life, because it was based on my life, and I wish I had kept going, because I've written 2 scenes. I have more in there, but I just so eventually I think I might want to write something.
Favorite thing about Long Island?
Well, there's always something to do. I mean, especially in the summertime, you got live music all over the place. Eisenhower Park, Wednesday afternoons they have shows on Wednesday afternoons, and then on the weekends, and they have shows as well. All the different parks, the parks up in Port Washington, Tanner Park. So there's always something to do on Long Island. And for where I'm located on Long Island, having grown up in Merrick and now living in Westbury, I'm 30 minutes from the city. So yeah, people say, "What are you going to go to the city for?" That's irrelevant to me. If I want to go to the city, I'm 30 minutes away. Arrange a game. My acting classes, they're in Manhattan. The subway, not subway, the Long Island Railroad, right to Penn Station, and I walk up the block. Times Square. I haven't been to Times Square since I retired, but everything's right here.
Actor that inspires you?
There's a lot. I'm a big Bryan Cranston fan. I mean, you go back to your Pacinos and your De Niros. Those guys are great. Kevin James, believe it or not, he also from Long Island.
Paramount all the time. He's always performing.
He's very good. Although I've only seen his stand-up once, but The King of Queens, his show, I watch that all the time, and so I just enjoy his comedy.
Director you would love to work with?
There's a young, up-and-coming director who I met at a workshop. His name is Slick. He's the director for the show Daredevil on the Marvel Daredevil show. I would love to work with him. Spielberg, Ron Howard, any of the big names would be great.
Favorite thing about real estate?
Closings, payday. No, what I enjoy is when I'm working with buyers, it's the thrill of the hunt. This is what they're looking for, and I'm going to find it for them. So, and on the sale end of it, it's getting the deal done smoothly, or as smoothly as I can. Again, there are things that are out of my control, but knowing that my clients, when I sell their house, they're like, "Man, you just took this burden off of me."
Something you see a lot of real estate agents do that you think they should stop doing immediately?
Yeah, I don't know, because I'm sure there's things that I do that realtors were like, "I wish you wouldn't do that." Oh, you know what? Biggest pet peeve?
All right.
Sending your buyers to the open house and not showing up.
Yeah.
And more importantly, because obviously they have their own career as well, call me. Tell me, look, I'm having my own open house at the same time. Can I send? Because all the open houses run around the same time, within a half hour each other. Nothing starts before 11 o'clock, and you don't generally get an open house after 3 o'clock, after 4 o'clock. You may get a 3 to 4, because by that time, people on the weekends are done. But listen, we all want to be home on the weekend. Believe me, we do. But if you're going to just send your buyers out and sit at home and then write the offer and have me do your job for you, I think the MLS or LIBOR, whoever it is, should implement that it's mandated. If you do not attend the open house with your buyer, you will now owe me a 25% referral fee. And I had brought that up. My last manager said you can't do that, and then I found out Tony Bonanno, he's passed on. He started doing that. Now, whether he got the 25% referral fee or not, I don't know. But he would write that right in the agent remarks. So I'm like, maybe I can do that.
You've been in real estate for a long time. You've been in real estate for 15 years. Having a great career, having a great run. For an agent that's out there that wants to do this full time like you, but maybe they're getting some success, but they're stuck, right? They're just not getting the traction. What would be your suggestion to them on how to get unstuck, get over that threshold, and be able to do it full time?
Well, now if you mean stuck, like they're not getting listings and not getting buyers, I would say find your niche, and I don't mean specific types of buyers and sellers. I'm fortunate. When I first retired, I had, I was a sergeant, and some of my rookie cops were starting up my houses, and they called me. So I had the connection to the police department, but I have other niches as well. So find something, whether it be from a hobby that you like, and work that. But don't make it be about what are they going to do for you. Let them know you're a realtor, but if you're part of, say, if you're into animals, join an animal rescue group. People like to trust people, and if you're someone that is good to animals, they're going to trust you. Other animal lovers. So find something, your little niche, and work that.
Yeah, no, I think that's amazing advice, and I think that's something that a lot of people miss. It doesn't have to be like, hey, I'm going out to push myself as a real estate agent. It's I'm going out to meet people, to do things that I enjoy doing with people that I like, and they just happen to find out that I'm a real estate agent.
See, and there's a great book that I read. It's called The Go-Giver. Everyone says, oh, he's a real go-getter. That's a great term, but you'd be a go-giver and go out and find out what you can do for other people without the expectation of something back. And that's really, it was a great book. I recommend it to anybody, not just in sales. I mean, it's meant for salespeople, but just figure out what you can do for other people. And one of the first things when I meet somebody is they say, oh, I'm an electrician. Oh, you're residential. Yes. So who's a good client for you? Like I ask people, who's a good client? I know that sounds obvious. Anyone that needs an electrician, but not necessarily, because he might not be an electrician that wants to rewire a whole house. So I always try to ask people, who's a good client for you? Because I run through a lot of people, I meet a lot of people, and I might remember. Oh, Charles says I need a full-time appraiser for the office.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a full-time appraiser I can recommend. Whether you hire him or not is irrelevant. It's I need to know what I can do for you.
Yeah. And listen, there have been situations where I'm like, put something out on Facebook and I was like, hey, I need XYZ person. And you're like, hey, I have this person.
Yes.
You really, really do live that. And it shows, in just, the positivity, how happy you are, how you carry yourself, and how people reciprocate, and ultimately how you build a business. So listen, you know I love you. I've known you for a very long time. It's amazing to see, all the progress and everything. If there's anybody that's out there that is interested in buying or selling with a show, because when you get Frankie Failla, it's not just buying or selling. There's always a show involved.
I especially with the buyers, because I know how stressful it is. I try to I wouldn't call it a show, but I try to make some jokes along the way and ease their concern, which is exactly what I used to do when I was an EMT. Is I would crack these stupid jokes, and it would just ease their anxiety and their fear. When they weren't sure what was going on. Obviously, this is not for a gunshot victim or but somebody that was sick and they were just afraid, they weren't sure what was going on. I would just tell them really stupid jokes, and then because they would spend days in the emergency room waiting for a room, I'd come back and I would visit with them and talk to them and just ease their concerns. So I will definitely do my best to make you laugh.
You're a good man, Frank. You are.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So if anybody's looking to buy, sell anywhere on Long Island, how do they get a hold of you? How do they get in touch with you? That's your camera.
Okay. Well, they can call me at 516-644-3751. They could reach me on Instagram, Frank Failla. I don't have a website. I know that Charles is shaking his head, but I don't have a website. Or you can email me, frank.failla@handsomere.com.